Hello guys, Namaste. I am Gautam Prasad Chaudhary and today we'll be studying about another topic about peptic ulcer. So before we start our topic peptic ulcer, we need to develop some basic concept. So you are seeing on my screen about the different parts of stomach, like you can see here cardia, fundus, body, pyloric intrum, pylorus and duodenum. These all are the part of a stomach. So on the basis of locations, we can differentiate a type of ulcer. For example, if the ulcer is in this any part of a stomach, then it is called a gastric ulcer. For example, if ulcer is in cardiac part, or if it is in a fundus part, or sometimes it may be in body part, or sometimes it may be a pyloric antrum or pylorus. If it is in these areas, then we can tell as the person is having or patient is having a gastric ulcer. But apart from this body part, or apart from this stomach part, if it is in duodenum, in this part, in this area you are seeing the cursor, if it is the ulcer in this area, then it is called as a duodenal ulcer. But sometime apart from this duodenum part or stomach part, sometimes the lesion or ulcer may be in esophagus regions, and that time we call as a esophageal ulcer. So basically we can classify the ulcer into three types. One is a gastric ulcer, if it is in fundus part, cardiac part, body part, or any part of the pylorus, or duodenal ulcer if it is in a duodenum part, and esophageal ulcer if it is in a esophagus. So this is the basic informations about a ulcer. So we'll see the lining of a stomach. In this stomach we have a different type of lining or different layers of a stomach. You can see here mainly there are four linings are there, like mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa, serosa. So these are most important linings of or layers of a stomach. Number one is a mucosa, and submucosa is the second lining, muscularis externa is a third layer, and serosa is a outer layer. So most inner layer is a mucosa. So again, this mucosa we can classify into three types or differentiate into three layers. We can say as a surface epithelium. This is a first lining that comes under the mucosa, and after that there is a lamina propria and muscularis mucosae. So these are some important linings that comes under the mucosa. So totally we can say there are 7 layers of a stomach. That's mucosae, submucosae, muscularis externa, serosa, and surface epithelium, lamina propria, and muscularis mucosae. So these are the important layers of a stomach. And you can see here, this is called a gastric pit. Okay, in stomach, inside the stomach you can see this elevation and depression part, that is this is a mucosa. So I am trying to make it out zoom. You can see like this. So in this gastric pit you can see a different types of cells. The most important cells are parietal cells, you can see here, and below parietal cells there is a chip cell, and below chip cell there is a enteroendocrine cell, also known as a enterochromaffin cell or ECF cell. So these are some important cells present inside this gastric pits. So we will see importance of these cells in next slide. So this was about layers of stomach, and I think you are clear with this slide. So we will try to see another slide. Let's see the function of stomach. If we see the function of stomach, the most important function is digestions. Okay, because in stomach we have seen many cells are present, like parietal cell are present, ECF cell are present, chip cell are present. So all these cells have a different functions, and that help in a digestion of food. And another function of a stomach is that it help in storage of food. It is a storehouse, right? Whatever things we are going to eat, and they are going to store in our stomach. So we can say it is a house for a storage of food. So these are the most two important function of a stomach. Already we have discussed about another cells like some there are extra cells we are seeing in this slide, like mucous neck cell is there. Another name of a mucous cell is a foliar cell. So most important functions of a foliar cell is to produce a mucus. So the most important things about mucus is that it protects the lining of a stomach. For example, if there is no mucus, means it will not cover the lining of a stomach. Anything can come from outside. It may be a virus, bacteria, or some chemicals, whatever may be, it will damage the layer of a stomach or lining of a stomach very easily. So in order to protect from those kind of a damage, this mucous neck cell will produce a mucus. So it is having a protection nature. So you can see below the mucous neck cell there is a parietal cells. The most important things of a parietal cell is that it will produce a gastric acid, okay, gastric acid or HCl. So gastric acid are responsible or important for a digestion of food. So whenever there is HCl, there is a digestion, but when there is a less secretion of HCl or there is a complete absence of HCl, means there is a no digestions. So parietal cell will produce the gastric acid, which is essential for a digestion of a food. Similarly, you can see enterochromaffin cells that will produce histamine, and main function of a histamine is that it will stimulate the acid, and when the acid is stimulated, it will help in a digestion. Similarly, there are chief cell, delta cell, G cells. So one by one we will see all the function of these cells in next slide. Similarly, there is a chief cell, it will produce pepsin. Similarly, it will produce a gastric lipase. There is a delta cell, and this delta cell will produce somatostatin, which help in inhibition of acid. For example, when there is excess acid and it has a chances of damaging the layer of a stomach or lining of a stomach, so this delta cell will inhibit the excess secretion of acid. So in this way, this delta cell will help. Similarly, you can see here G cell that will produce gastrin. For example, when there is a less secretion of acid, then this gastrin will produce and help in increase the secretion of HCl, and that help in digestions. So most important things I am going to tell you about these parietal cells and chief cells as well as the enterochromaffin cells. These parietal cells, enterochromaffin cell and chief cells, these cells are found in all part of a stomach except a pylorus. You can see the structure of a stomach, means these three cells. One is a parietal cell, this parietal cell, enterochromaffin cell, and chief cell. So these cells are found in all part of a stomach, means they are found in a cardiac part, they are found in a fundus part, they are found in a body part, but they are absent in a pylorus part. Okay, so instead in pylorus we can see G cell and D cell. These are found in a pylorus. This is the most important questions usually asked in a many licensed exam. So this D cell and G cell are found in a pylorus, where a parietal cell, enterochromaffin cell, and chief cell are found in all part of the stomach except of a pylorus. So once again, this mucous neck cell, parietal cells, enterochromaffin cells, okay, chief cells, these are important cells that are responsible for digestion of food. Or these D cells and G cell are found in a pylorus. So this was a brief information about a different function of a cell. So now we'll see the process of a digestion. Okay, whenever you are eating some food, for example at your breakfast just now, that time what happened, automatically the central nervous system will get activated. This you are seeing here, the central nervous system will get activated when you are eating the food, because our body, our central nervous system get a sense that you have taken a food. Now it's time for a digestion. So this central nervous system will get activated, and it will produce some important neurotransmitters known as acetylcholine. So these are acetylcholine is one of the most important neurotransmitter that is produced from the central nervous system. Okay, so this central nervous system will produce the neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, and this what happen, this acetylcholine will bind to the receptor that present in this gastric pit. This already I have told, this is a parietal cell, this purple color, and this orange color you are seeing, this are the chip cell, and this one, this where you are seeing my cursor, these are a ECF cell. So this ECF cell has some specific receptor known as a acetylcholine receptor that present inside the ECF cell. So when you are eating food, that time central nervous system will get activate and it will produce the neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, and this acetylcholine will come and bind to the receptor that is present in the ECF cell. So when this acetylcholine is coming and binding to this receptor of ECF cell, this ECF cell will get activated. You are seeing here, this ECF cell will get activated. So when ECF cell is activated, they will start to release important chemicals known as a histamine. Okay, this after getting activation of ECF cell, they will start to release important chemicals known as a histamine. So when this histamine will release, and they will go and bind to its receptor that present in the parietal cell. So parietal cell has a histamine receptor. So when this histamine are going and binding to this parietal cell will get activate. This parietal cell will get activate. Okay, so when parietal cell is activated, then what is the most important function of parietal cell is that they will start to produce HCl. They will start to release HCl, and this HCl are important for digestions. Okay, in this way process of digestion occurs. Okay, so once again I will do revisions. After having a food, after having your lunch, or after having your dinner, then that time it need to be digested. So central nervous system will get activate, and they will produce some important neurotransmitter known as acetylcholine, and acetylcholine will comes and bind to the ECF cells by binding it receptors. And when this ECF cell are get activated, they will start to release chemicals known as a histamine, and this histamine will bind to the receptor that is present to the parietal cells, and this parietal cell are getting activated. When this parietal cell are activated, they will start to release the chemicals or juice or acid known as HCl, and this help in digestion. So this is the process how digestion occurs. Okay, now let's talk about the hypersecretion of HCl. So what happens when there is excess secretion of HCl? So you can see a different layer of stomach. This already we have discussed in previous slide. So mucosa is the innermost layer of stomach, and mucosa is covered by a submucosa, and submucosa is covered by a muscularis externa, and finally the outermost layer is a serosa. If there is a hypersecretion of HCl, then definitely it will damage the layer of mucosa. So when only mucosa is damaged, then that's called a erosion. But sometime if there is more hypersecretion of HCl, it may damage the other layer also. It may damage the submucosa, or it may damage the muscularis externa. So if all these three layers are damaged, then that is known as ulcerations. But in severe case, if in severe case of there is a hypersecretion of HCl, it may damage all the layer. It may damage the mucosa, it may damage the submucosa, also it will damage the muscularis externa, and finally it will also damage the serosa, and that is known as perforations. And perforation is nothing but it is a formation of a pores in a stomach. So when there is a formation of pores inside a stomach, then definitely the blood will come out, blood will leak out from that pores, and that will mix with a stool of a patient, and we can see the stool of patient is dark brown color. So this is a most severe case. So being a pharmacist, what role we can play in decreasing the secretion of HCl? So let's talk in next slide. So this is the process we have already discussed. After having our lunch or dinner, our central nervous system will get activated, and it will start to produce or release a acetylcholine neurotransmitter, and this acetylcholine will come to the ECF cell and it will activate the ECF cell and it will release the histamine, and histamine will bind to the parietal cell, and this parietal cell will release a SCL and helps in a digestion. This is a normal process how digestion occur. So in case of hypersecretions, there is a delta cell. Okay, this delta cell are very sensitive for a hypersecretion of a SCL. In case of a hypersecretion of SCLs, this delta cell will play a very important role in reducing the level of a SCL. So once these delta cells get a sense that in stomach there is a high amount of SCL, they will start to release the chemical known as a somatostatin. So somatostatin, they will go and block the secretion of a acetylcholine. So they will inhibit the acetylcholine from the binding to the ECF cells. So once this somatostatin will inhibit the process, that time this acetylcholine can't come to the ECF cell. So if acetylcholine is not able to bind to the receptor in ECF cell, this ECF cell will not get activated. So once this ECF cell are not activated, it means there is a no release of a histamine. So if there is no release of a histamine, definitely the histamine will not go and bind to the parietal cells. So if there is not binding to the parietal cell, this parietal cell will not get activate. So if there is not activation of parietal cell, there is a not secretion of a SCL. So in this way, this delta cell will play a very important role in reducing the level of a SCL. This is the how SCL we can reduce. The main key cell, the main cell that plays an important role in reducing the level of SCL is a delta cell, and this delta cell are very sensitive for a hypersecretion of a SCL. This is the basic concept how we can reduce the SCL level in a stomach. So in case of a hyposecretion, how we can increase the level of a SCL? Because if there is a hyposecretion, then there is a no digestion. But if we want to digest food, we need to get a more SCL in our stomach. So hyposecretion of SCL is known as a hypochlorhydria. So in case of a hyposecretions, there is a G cell. This G cell will play a very important role in increasing the level of a SCL. So this G cell are very sensitive for a hyposecretion of SCL. So when the G cell finds that in stomach there is a less amount of SCL, they will start to produce the substance known as a gastrin, and gastrin will go and bind to the parietal cells. This is the parietal cells. Okay, so this gastrin will bind to the parietal cells. So once this gastrin will bind to the parietal cells, they will activate the parietal cells, and once the parietal cells are activated, they will start to release the HCl. So once HCl release, and it start for a digestion. So this is how in case of a hyposecretion, G cell play a very important role for increasing the level of a SCL. So this was a basic concept how we can increase the level of a SCL with the help of a G cell. So this was the end of a part 1, and in next class, in part 2, we'll discuss about the mechanism of a secretion of a SCL. How SCL is secreted from the parietal cell, we will discuss in next part, that will be in part 2. So very soon I will post that video in YouTube. So if you like this video guys, kindly subscribe my channel, and you can share with your friends.